Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden and Will Southard.
Welcome, everybody, to the PPP. My name is Brian. Please, as always, remember to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening or watching this. And please, more than anything, tell a friend, because that is how we grow this Pigskin Party. I'm back. I took a week off. I left the podcast a little wearily in the hands of my always co-host, Will Southard, and surprise, surprise, he did a halfway decent job. I did get a chance to listen. So, Will, thank you for not, destroying this thing and running it off the tracks. How you feeling this week, man?
I'm hot, dude. My AC up here doesn't work, and I live in Orlando, Florida, so I'm waiting for somebody to fix that, which is hence all the fans and all this stuff. But I'm also hot for the draft that we're about to do. Kind of sad that I don't get to host anymore. I feel like I did good. It was
you did
time.
You did good, kid. You did good.
I feel like I had to pay a lot more attention. Like when you're here and guests are here, then I just have to I have to just make dumb comments that confuse our guests who are like NFL professionals. Like when I told our guy from last week that they should just go after Chase Daniel instead of Chase in the draft, and he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Just stay with me." So I'm good to my role of being back and being ridiculous, and I will say that you were much more behaved. I actually sent a text to Jeff Chesser, who was a guest co-host with you, and I said, Will is not Will. He's being behaved. So you know what? I'm glad that you get to play your role and do your crazy and inappropriate things. So let's go ahead and get this party started. We have an extra special episode. So we've been teasing this for a few weeks. We even had to move it once because there was a special guest that we're going to introduce shortly that we wanted to make sure to get him in. But this is the PPP mock draft special. Now, we've had an episode in the past where we reviewed a mock draft by our writer, Ross Crawford. But this episode, we are actually going to be drafting on the episode itself. So let's go ahead and jump right into bringing our guests. We do have one repeat guest who Will was not on with, so he's new to Will, but super excited to get him back on, and that is Kevin Brumley, aka the Sports Muse. Definitely have to check out his YouTube channel. The subscribers keep going up. You're producing some awesome content. Kevin, welcome back to the PPP.
I appreciate you guys having me back. I had a lot of fun last time, so and I'm ready to drop some picks.
And the fact that, we had a guest and our producer who hadn't seen certain classic football movies and you decided still to come back and visit us, I'll take that, with a lot of gratitude. So super excited to have you back because of the work you do with prospects. Always wanted to have you on this episode. And there is another special guest we've been trying to coordinate with, and that is Ari Myrov, who is the founder of My Sports Update. If you are on Twitter, you have to follow his Twitter handle, NFL Update. He also has a podcast called the My Sports Update NFL Football Podcast. Ari, welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on. We've had a really busy offseason. We have a really exciting draft coming up, and cannot wait to do this mock with you guys.
Yeah, dude, like I said, we rearranged this to make sure that we could have both you and Kevin on. I just thought this was the right foursome to have on for this particular episode. I do have a quick question. So for those who follow you, because you're on it on Twitter. You're breaking stuff at the same time as Schefter and Rappaport. So how, just a brief history, how did you get started in this NFL update business, and how'd you get to the levels that you're at now?
So yeah, I've always been a very big NFL fan, and it was actually in 2013. So I've always been following the NFL, but the news aspect was the thing that always fascinated me, and I was always into it. I was always following every free agency move, every report. The draft was and still is my favorite event. So back then I realized that there are so many good reporters out there who are putting out stuff, but it's impossible for the average fan to keep updated with what's going on. So I decided to create a Twitter account where I was going to try to do that and accumulate all the stuff that is going on in the NFL, whatever is reliable and notable to the average fan, and put it all on one account. That is basically how it started back then in 2013. And as time went on, it just kept on growing and growing. And at some point, I decided to build a website on my own. then started a podcast as well, which is great. And then I've gotten to know a lot of great people around the NFL, including guys from ESPN and guys in the NFL itself, whether it's with teams or the agents. So it's gotten to that point, and it's something that I obviously have a passion for and enjoy it so greatly. So it's incredible to see where it got to, and it's only growing, which is obviously great. And that's just the goal, keep on pumping out NFL news. The NFL is king. There's stuff going on all the time, as you guys, I'm sure you know. So that is what's going on. The draft is coming up, but I'm sure that's not where the news is going to end. We're always going to have stuff going on.
I feel like you made it in the NFL world, though, if you ever made it on an episode of Ballers. Did you ever do that?
I have not done that.
If you're friends with The Rock and you made it on Ballers, you've made it in the NFL world, I think.
That's just Jay Glazer, though, man.
There was a lot of people. That was a popular, that was the thing. Like, if you were in the NFL for a while, you tried to get on Ballers. You remember that? Like, there was a few cameos on there. It was a good show.
I've noticed that for some reason, The Rock is always seemingly brought up on this podcast for whatever. We're big supporters of The Rock. So, hey, Rock, if you ever want to be on a podcast, reach out.
Hey, XFL's coming back soon.
That's right. We have mentioned that XFL apparently looking into merging with the Canadian Football League. There's all sorts of. We've had Canadian guests on that have broke that kind of stuff. So, hey, we are proud supporters of The Rock. And Ari, I'm sure I speak for all three of us when we're obsessed with the NFL, definitely in awe of what you've been able to build. And what a great utility you're able to provide to the average football fan, because you're breaking all the stuff. Like you said, that there's some fantastic reporters out there that may not have the same reach. You've accumulated all that. I think you're up to 425,000 Twitter followers. So, dude, kudos to you. And thanks again for coming on the show.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What do you say we get this Pigskin Party mock draft
I knew you were
started?
Say that.
You knew I was going to say that. Come on, I'm nothing if not predictable sometimes. It's all about branding, dude. So here's how we're going to do it. We're not even doing news. We don't have a team deep dive. We are doing a mock draft where we're going to take a rotation between the four of us. There wasn't numbers drawn out of a hat. I literally just asked everybody what pick they want, and they all just happened to pick different picks. So it worked out well, but we're going to take turns rotating. So the four of us will each have 8 different picks. 4 times 8, 32. I can't do math. A few caveats. So because of the way this exercise is set up, we won't be doing trades. We just don't have the capacity to filter out that in. We're not saying there won't be trades. I think we all know there's always trades, but this draft in particular, there's already been trades. I think we clearly know that some of these picks are not going to stay. There was news earlier today that the Giants are looking to trade back, that the Dolphins are still fielding offers after all that they've done at pick 6. So, but for this particular exercise, we're just going to make the pick at the pick that they are at now. We're going to try, I don't have a timer or anything, but we're going to try to keep it about a minute per pick, and then whatever pick you make, a brief explanation as to why. So I think, so-and-so is going to this pick. They need this, yada, yada. Okay. So
you know what's fun about this draft, though?
Yeah.
So I'm picking 4th. You know what's fun about this draft? So I was looking, and this is a fun fact. You can look this up. If you look at every team that picks every 4 spots, and you put that list together, you got the Falcons, Panthers, Eagles, Cardinals, Bears, Steelers, and the Saints. That is a master list of all the teams that I could care less about. It's really fun. So I had to do a dive into all those teams to look at their needs, because I'm like, oh yeah, the Eagles. I'm really, you know what I mean?
Although I did notice
really excited about the Eagles.
And maybe
offense.
This is why you picked number 4, but I noticed that lines up perfectly with the number 32 pick and your beloved Brady. Yeah, that's all. That's the only reason.
The one wild card team. Let's do this. Let's get into it.
All right, fantastic. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So our first time guest of the show, we're going to give him the number 1 pick. Ari, I mean, not that there's a lot of suspense here, but go ahead and lay it on us. Who are you taking for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the number 1 overall pick?
All right. Are you guys ready to be surprised? No, I'm just kidding. This is the easiest. this is the easiest pick in the draft. There's not much that has to be said of here. Trevor Lawrence will go number 1. We've known this for a couple of years now, that he will be the number 1 pick in 2021 unless something crazy happens. Urban Meyer went to Jacksonville because of this, and he's going to join an offense with James Robinson, DJ Shark, Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault. He's going to be the quarterback. He's the future. There's reason to be excited if you're a Jaguars fan, and they'll be back on the clock later on here in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely true. And I know that there was a little bit of drama, because there always has to be, about the Sports Illustrated article that came out around Trevor Lawrence and saying that he's motivated a different way. And of course, Draft Twitter said, oh, he doesn't care about football. We're not going to dive into that now, but spoiler alert, we might be talking about that on the flavor of the week. But yes, Ari said it correctly. This is the least surprising pick in the entire draft. Trevor Lawrence has been pegged to Jacksonville. I think him and his wife already donated money to the city of Jacksonville.
$20,000, yeah.
$20,000.
Allegedly, he already has the playbook. Yeah, allegedly he's already just diving in. I mean, whatever. It's a.
Well, I think Urban Meyer, one of the reasons he wanted to have Trevor throw before his shoulder surgery was so that he could go ahead and start speaking to him. They want to get him up to speed on the playbook ahead of some of these other rookies. So, no-brainer pick. Let's keep it rolling. I am picking number 2. This is also not a slam dunk, but maybe the second closest slam dunk, I feel. And that I am going to put Zach Wilson to the New York Jets after they traded away Sam Darnold. There's some questions. Do they want Fields? No, but I think this is Zach Wilson for GM Joe Douglas and new coach Robert Saleh. No additional explanation needed because they've already traded away Darnold. Obviously, new regime. They want to get in a new rookie quarterback. Wilson seems to have the right tools. He certainly looks the part. He looks like a quarterback that was built for one of those sports movies that Kevin and I talked about last episode when he was on. Straight up, Zach Wilson from BYU to the Jets. Let's turn it over.
His career is now over.
Like I said,
along with the Jets selection, Zach Wilson's career is over.
Historically, yes, but there's a whole new regime in town. I believe in Robert Saleh, at least from what we've seen so far from his time in San Francisco. I think Joe Douglas has done a great job stockpiling draft assets. I'm confident for now, and I'm a Dolphins fan. So let's go ahead and keep it moving.
There's one thing I love about Zach Wilson, it's his assets. They're fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, you're loving being off the host chair. You said you're not going to miss hosting. You're in your rightful spot right now.
Ari's like, oh my God, what did I sign up for?
Let's keep it going. Now is where the intrigue will start. So let's turn it over to Kevin for the number 3 overall pick from the San Francisco 49ers.
So, I think in a lot of ways the draft starts here, right? Like you said, It's not an absolute slam dunk, but I would be pretty flabbergasted if Zach Wilson isn't taken second. So with this being said, the Niners traded essentially 2 first-round picks because they swapped the other one, so I don't really consider that trading a pick. But they moved up. The rumor was Mac Jones, right? Shanahan likes Mac Jones. He meets that criteria of quarterbacks that they like. That would be crazy, right? To trade that. Like, not that Mac Jones is a bad quarterback, but it's the idea that he has limited upside. So I think this pick with a 3rd overall pick, the 49ers are going to take Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State. And I'm excited for this for the simple fact that I'm so sick. Like, I've been making content on Justin Fields, and I get so many people are like, oh, he's going to be bad in the NFL. Why? Well, Ohio State quarterbacks aren't good in the NFL. That makes no sense. That literally has nothing to do with Justin Fields. So it's mind-boggling. With Shanahan, I'm excited. So I think it's a good pick. But I'd actually honestly be more surprised if the Niners took Mac Jones than Trey Lance. Like, that's how I would be really, really shocked if they took Mac Jones here.
I saw a lot of people say that whoever the 49ers pick, people are asking, who's going to be the best quarterback in this draft? A lot of that answer is whoever the 49ers pick from the cast that they have surrounding him,
because of Shanahan
and all that stuff. So
I think
it's definitely going to be a good landing spot for whoever it is. But God, I hope so, man. I really, 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 I've said it on this podcast. I hope you are right. I mean, I think it's pretty clear to people that aren't overthinking NFL analysts that Justin Fields has game, and would be worthy of those kind of picks. So
according to you, Mac Jones does not.
Mac Jones is doo-doo. So
you certainly suggested that Kyle Shanahan should wear a hat of turkey legs if he drafts right. Mac Jones at number 3. So before we get on to the number 4 pick from Ari, I want just to get your quick thoughts on the number 3 pick, Ari, only because you're so plugged into these various reporters, and a lot of them are saying this isn't like speculation, but there's actual genuine reports that the Niners are in fact interested with Mac Jones at number 3. What are your thoughts on what you've seen out there?
Yeah, Listen, I'm not saying it can't happen. I've had a hard time believing it will happen for the simple fact that when the trade happened, the first thing that came out is that Mac Jones is the guy. And knowing San Francisco, they're the type of team that does not allow stuff get out of their building. So I have a hard time believing that the trade happened. The first thing that went out is that Mac Jones is the guy that Kyle Shanahan covets. So they were still doing their research on the quarterbacks. The idea of moving up there was that they knew that they like 3, 4, even 5 of these quarterbacks. So they knew that if they're going to be in the number 3 spot, that they're going to get one of these guys for Kyle Shanahan. So going up there, I wasn't 100% sure that they're going to take Mac Jones. I personally agree with what Kevin just did by taking Justin Fields. And if that's the pick, it would not surprise me at all. But they're keeping this close to the vest. From what I understand, the only people in that organization who really know what is going on with that pick is going to be Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Adam Peters, Parag Marathe, and ownership. This thing is not going out to the assistants. They're not going to the coaching staff, at least not yet, not the scouts. They don't know exactly what's going on yet, so I don't really know exactly what they are doing, but I don't think it's as clear as people are making out to be. And the interesting thing that happens now is, if it is not Mac Jones, where is he going to go?
That is, and the fact that in this mock draft, at least he didn't go to 3, we might just find out where he might go. I will say this, I mean, we all know that, so Shanahan, who apparently has never really gone to pro days in the past, attended Mac Jones' pro day, but also recently attended the second pro day by Trey Lance and Justin Fields. So I think Ari's onto something. It just seems a little too on the nose that they just decided ahead of time that Mac Jones was their guy and screw the rest of the process. But let's turn it over to you, Ari, now for your pick with the Atlanta Falcons at number 4.
I'm 4.
I picked number 4, bruh.
Oh, well, I was going in the order of the cameras I see. So look at that. I'm already screwed up. Roger Goodell, I am not. Okay, Will, at pick 4. Maybe I just didn't want Will involved. Maybe I just wanted me
maybe not
Ari to cycle.
Because you're not going to like this pick, so there's that. And I don't like this pick. But I think this is a Falcons move, right? So the Falcons' biggest need, I mean, they got holes on defense. We can agree for that. They need edge rushing help, right? Matt Ryan is aging. I think they're still gonna they still believe in the guy. I personally think we can't trade. I think the Falcons should trade it back out of this spot for a QB hungry team to come up here and get a haul like the Dolphins did. But we can't do that on here, so I got to make a pick. I think they're going to go with the best pass catcher in the draft. I think they're just going to do it, and they're going to take Pitts here and steal him before somebody comes up and steals Kyle Pitts. Dude is an honest monster, and it is a scary thought. You don't even need a running game if you have Ridley, Jones, Julio, Kyle Pitts, all that kind of weaponry in the Falcons.
And Hayden Hurst.
They need edge, but they're going to go Kyle Pitts, Florida tight end. Dude is a monster.
I can't argue with that pick. Do they take a more developmental quarterback like Trey Lance here? The fact that Matt Ryan's got a few more seasons, sure, but I don't think anybody's going to really bat an eye at Atlanta taking Pitts. Although I agree, I think if I were Atlanta, I would definitely consider trading back and getting some picks there. Okay, let's keep this party moving. Now we'll go back over to Ari. Now I got the order correct. Okay, so Ari at number 5 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Who are you going with?
All right, so this is really interesting because I know a lot of people are talking about Jamar Chase and bringing him together with Joe Burrow once again. But for me, the reality of the NFL right now is that it's become easier to find wide receivers. And when you have a franchise quarterback like Joe Burrow, the number one priority should be protecting that quarterback. And we know what happened last year. So as much as he would want to have Jamar Chase back there, I think they cannot go wrong by taking one of these offensive tackles. I'm going to take Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon. He's going to be the franchise left tackle for Joe Burrow. They're going to kick Jonah Williams inside. They have Riley Reif at right tackle. And then you could go back and find the receiver in those later rounds because we've seen guys like A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. Last year, T. Higgins was in the second round. You could find another receiver in those later rounds. But for now, get a left tackle. He's just 20 years old. In the next 10 plus years, he's going to protect Joe Burrow. That is the key priority for Cincinnati.
And they just took promo shots in their new uniforms. And Joe Burrow's big knee scar is right there. It's like, Come on. It's obvious you need that. I 100% agree.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement too. What good does a wide receiver do if you're injured and they've got the likes of Brandon Allen coming in to throw and Ryan Finley, who I don't even know if he's on the team anymore. But that's the point: is you got to protect your franchise, and Burrow is the franchise. I like that pick, and I would completely agree with it. Okay, let's keep it moving. Yes, it is no coincidence that I picked number 2 because that lines up with both of my beloved Miami Dolphins picks. And here is the first one. After a whole bunch of shenanigans where they went from 3 back to 12, now back up to 6, involving trades with the 49ers and the Eagles. So as of now, and they could be trading again, but as of now, the Dolphins are at the number 6 pick. Obviously, you've got to go wide receiver. There's been a lot of talk about Jamar Chase versus Devontae Smith. I have been very vocal on which side I lean on for Miami specifically, and I'm going to stick with that here, and that is pairing his former teammate from Alabama, Devontae Smith, here at the number 6 pick. And it really has to do with, I think, both Chase and Smith are phenomenal talents. Chase maybe even more so physically. Smith is just a pure route runner, and I think one of the things the Dolphins were missing last year in 2020 was nobody was getting open. He was throwing and he's used to Alabama open. So he went from Alabama open to just zero separation at all. So he needs somebody who can get open and make plays with the ball after the catch. The fact that he already has that chemistry built in is going to give them a little head start. So I'm picking Devontae Smith for the Dolphins, wide receiver out of Alabama.
There we go. Yep, and I would agree with that. I think they are going to take a wide receiver. I don't know which one, whether it's Waddle, Chase, or Smith, but whoever it is, these are the top 3 receivers in the draft, and all 3 are studs, and that is going to help Tua a lot.
Good Lord.
So let's keep the party going. Everybody needs pass catchers. Make it seem like that's such a novel idea. All right, let's keep the party going. Out to the number 7 pick with the Detroit Lions, Kevin.
So with this said, I think the biggest need when we talk about the Lions is receiver and offensive line. I think culture-wise, offensive line would make sense, but I think having a relatively high pick and a deep tackle class, I think they can address that need with their first, second-round pick. So I think the pick is, I would say Devontae Smith, but you went with him before Jamar Chase. So I'm going Jamar Chase right here at number 7. But I will say, when I did a mock draft with trades on my YouTube channel, and I really think the Patriots are going to trade up for this pick. And I think they might try to get in on Trey Lance. So I definitely feel like this is the Lions aren't anywhere near competing. So I think this is definitely a huge pick to be traded. I'd be pretty shocked if the Lions do take this pick at 7. But I'm going to go with Jamar Chase for this.
It's funny that you say that. Number one, just, oh my God, dude. I'm sorry, Jamar. Bro, I'm just sorry, bro. I don't know what to tell you. You're a professional athlete and you're going to be rich, but you're going to have a bad time. So there's that. But it's funny you say that because it leads into my pick, what you just talked about, right? So I have the next pick here with the Panthers, and you talk about that trade. It does make a lot of sense. The Patriots have to have something going forward that's not Cam Newton, and if the Patriots, if we can't trade up here, that's what I'm making happen at number 8 on the Panthers with Trey Lance. I don't think they are sold on Darnold. I think that they need to.
Wait. You think the Panthers, after trading for Darnold, who's 23 years old, they're going to draft Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Okay, getting a little spicy. Tell me more.
I don't see. I think they want that foundation there. They have other needs, right? They get tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. They spent all their picks on defense a year ago. So I see the shakeup happening. I don't know if they've said they want optionality on offense, whatever that means. So we'll see. They did just pay a heavy price for Darnold, so maybe not. They might do something different. But I think that to Kevin's point, if you want Trey Lance, you probably have to move up somewhere around here to try to steal him from one of these teams. I think Ari hit me with the big oof, so I'm not sure he's a fan of that one. But
quick thoughts from Ari. None of us were. Quick thoughts from Ari on that one.
All right, so that was going to be my next pick here if I was picking for Denver. So that hit me hard. But listen, I would not be shocked if Carolina does take a quarterback because I don't think it's going to be Trey Lance. That's the problem because I feel like he is somebody who most people agree has to sit at least 1 year or at least not start right away. So if you're committed to Darnold, it just makes the situation really awkward. Now, the thing with Darnold is that they did trade for him. They gave up a second-round pick and a little bit more. But somebody gave me this theory, and it's interesting that maybe they traded for Darnold with the intention of making teams think, this is a crazy theory, teams think that they don't need a quarterback anymore. But now they don't have to trade up. No team has to trade up in front of them. And then they're going to take up a quarterback at number 8. Which basically means instead of giving up a lot to move up, they just gave up a 2 for Darnold. And people think they don't need a quarterback anymore, but they're going to sit there at 8 and just take a quarterback there, right? So no one's going to try to jump them. It's a crazy theory. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's an interesting situation. I mean, like, if Justin Fields fell there, maybe they'll take him. I can't see it being Lance or the Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. That's just me, though.
Mac Jones definitely not. But yeah, go ahead.
If Will had his way, Mac Jones would get drafted in the 4th round.
No. I think Mac Jones is a great candidate for New England, honestly. Okay. But let's just keep going. Let's keep
keep it going. So, Ari, now that your pick for number 9 and the Broncos was taken, surprisingly by Will, who do you think, or who do you want to put at number 9 with Denver?
All right. So Mac Jones is the other quarterback that's left over here, and I'm not totally sure if they are sold on him. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. They are not sold on Drew Lock, that's for sure, because they've been sniffing around on all the quarterbacks here that were available this offseason. But I am going to say that they're going to stick with Drew Lock, and they're going to get him some help, and they're going to draft Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, and he's going to help protect Drew Lock this upcoming season. They're going to get Jawan James back this year, who opted out last year. They obviously have Garrett Bowles, who they extended last year. Rashawn Slater could play interior or the tackle position, so they'll have options there. But, they're going to get Cortland Sutton back next year, who tore his ACL. They have Jerry Jeudy. They have KJ Hamler. They have Noah Fant. The offensive line came together last year. Let's add some more help there, and let's run it back with Drew Lock this year and George Payton's first year as general manager. I'm just not sure if they're sold on Mac Jones, who's the only quarterback remaining here.
Yeah, I got to agree with that pick. I had, so I'm, once again, I was, the pick got taken, so I have the Cowboys next, and seeing what happened to Dak, the Cowboys' offensive line is not what they used to be. I would have picked Slater. I was ready to pick Slater if you didn't. So the same idea. Whoever they put there, whether it's Drew Lock or they ended up getting a different quarterback or drafting somebody later in like 2nd or 3rd round, you got to protect them. That is crucial. If your franchise quarterback's injured, none of the rest matters. So yeah, definitely like that pick there for the Broncos at 9. So now that throws me to probably defensive back for Dallas. And there's all the different draft analysts have different defensive backs kind of at the top. I'm going to pick Patrick Surtain, and not because his father played for the Dolphins. I think he's more NFL ready. He may not have the ceiling of, let's say, a Caleb Farley, or I know Kevin is a big J.C. Horn fan, but I think he's more ready to start early, and the Cowboys desperately need help in the secondary. So since I did not get Slater to protect Dak, I'm going to put Patrick Surtain II, defensive back out of Alabama, for Dallas at 10.
Is there anybody that you've seen in mock drafts, like not like the first overall pick, that's mocked to the same team more than Patrick Surtain to the Cowboys? Like every mock draft I look at, it is that mock. It's that
Sewell to the Bengals, maybe. That's the other one I see.
All the teams that are ahead too are pick. Just like there's not like. I mean, there's not really like there are a lot of cornerback hungry teams in the middle of the draft, for sure, but I think this is kind of one of the biggest ones this early that doesn't have, a more pressing need. It's probably why you're seeing that like that.
It's also the first defensive player drafted here, and we all know that Dallas needs secondary help, and most people believe Surtain is the number 1 corner in this draft, so it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's crazy to think that we're at number 10. And this is the first defensive player off the board. Just speaks to the uniqueness of this draft class. Let's get out of the top 10 and move to number 11 with the New York Giants. Kevin, who you taking at 11?
So this one's pretty tough. The Giants are a team that's in a kind of a weird situation where they're either good or average at almost every position, so they don't have a glaring need. I think they're going defense. I think the first defensive player taken should be Micah Parsons. But I know there's some off-the-field stuff with hazing. That I don't really buy too much into. But they need help off the edge, and I think they're going to go with Kwity Paye. And when I look at him, he's twitched up. He's one of those guys where he's put up a decent amount of production in Michigan, maybe not the sack numbers you want, but he has all the natural ability that you would want. So that's why I'm going Kwity Paye here at number 11 for the New York Giants.
I like that. You got Joe Judge, defensive coach. Their defense was surprisingly decent last year, so adding a nice high-ceiling edge rusher, I really like that pick. All right, let's keep on going to the number 12 pick, who are currently the Philadelphia Eagles, who Will is so excited to draft for. So let's hear who he has in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think here, I'm going to go with the the crowd on this one. You know, they need some wide receiver help here. I mean, they picked Rager last year in the first round, but they let Djax get away. They let Alshon Jeffrey get away. I think moving back here, I mean, there are a lot of people that are really high on Jalen Waddle for a lot of different reasons. You know, a very Tyreek Hill-ish type player coming out of college for sure. A little hampered last year. Very tough and resilient. Tried to play, even injured a little bit. They definitely need some secondary help, but I'm gonna go Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Bama here for the Eagles to get them some more offensive help.
I think that's a no-brainer. If Waddle's there at 12, or any of these top 4 pass catchers are there at 12 for Philadelphia, they got to jump on that. Okay. Straightforward pick. Let's keep the party moving. Let's go back to Ari, picking at number 13 for the Los Angeles Chargers.
All right, so Waddle just came off the board, and I might have considered it here for the Chargers and say, you know what, Herbert, year 2, let's just give him an insane offense to go out there. But what we've seen so far this offseason with the Chargers, that the number one priority is protecting Justin Herbert. They signed Corey Linsley to that massive deal. They also added a guard and Filer. So I'm going to go back to the offensive line over here, and I'm going to take the third-ranked offensive tackle in Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Again, there is a glaring hole there at left tackle for the Chargers. They have Brian Bulaga at right tackle. They were working on this offensive line the entire offseason. I think, as I said, that Justin Herbert going into his second year, you have to continue to protect him. He has receivers on that team. Let's protect him more. They're going to have Austin Eckler back for a full year as well. I think that should be the pick here for the Chargers. I think they would be ecstatic if Slater was to fall here, but that's probably unlikely. So they'll take Darrisaw.
Yeah, there's a pattern here. We've got these young stud quarterbacks, franchise pieces that we all recognize you got to protect, because at the end of the day, if you're not protecting them, the rest doesn't fall into place.
Well, talk about an exciting narrative is seeing what happens to Justin Herbert this year after last year and that kind of up and down-ish season that he had, sort of. You know, I mean,
not towards the end. He set rookie records. Yeah.
I mean, it was right. It was good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens this year.
What I'm intrigued about is the fact that he has an entirely new coaching staff. So he did all that. There's a level of discomfort. There's a defensive coach coming in Staley. Does that affect how they try to develop him, or is he just that good that it really doesn't matter who you put back there? So that's what I'm intrigued at. But I love the pick of a nice stud left tackle to help protect Herbert's blind side. All right, let's keep it going on to the number 14 pick, the Minnesota Vikings. They definitely have some needs at safety, but there's no real safeties that would go up this high. We all know that Mike Zimmer loves his defensive back, so I am going to go ahead and put another cornerback for my pick, and this one is going to be cornerback Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Comparing, was that a good pick or reach pick?
I think
it's interesting because he has top 10 talent. The problem is a lot of people have talked about his recent back injury, which could let him slip, but he is a top 10 talent guaranteed. If a team is fine with his medical, he should be going up here.
Right. And we're going up based on the information we have, and we don't, right, if we're team doctors, we see medicals, that's an entirely different thing. But if they're trying to go off his potential, then Caleb Farley, in my opinion, would be the pick here for Minnesota. But I like that I elicited some sort of response from Ari on that one. Okay.
I was hoping to steal him later.
Oh, nice. See, that's why he makes noises when we steal his picks.
We still got J.C. Horn on the board, so we're good.
Right, and yeah, I looked at Horn, real physical press corner. But I think the ceiling's a little bit higher with Farley, and as we mentioned, Zimmer loves his defensive backs, and Minnesota clearly needs help in the defense. So let's throw over to Kevin for the number 15 pick.
So we got the Pats up here, and I mean, this one, if it's in this hypothetical world, if there's no trades in this NFL draft, we know Belichick and Saban have really close ties, and we know that the Pats are quarterback hungry, and I think this picks Mac Jones, right? They clearly, Cam Newton looks like beyond washed. He looks like a washed quarterback who's washed. So I think Mac Jones has to be the guy here. So I think Mac Jones is the pick here, and he's a guy who's probably ready to start day one. But if you want to give him a quarter of a season, half of a season. You still have Cam who can go out there and be serviceable, I suppose. But I think Mac Jones is the pick here.
I like it. I mean, think he's a very Belichickian kind of guy, right? High accuracy kind of deal.
He's got the Tom Brady out of college body.
The dual tight ends over the middle. No, I mean the dual tight ends over the middle that the Patriots just signed. A very I like that pick a lot. Talking about cornerbacks, we're rolling into the Cardinals here. A lot of fun things the Cardinals could do. Obviously, they could go wide receiver in a couple of needs. Offensive lineman. Something better in the running game. But they just signed Malcolm Butler. They need to find a longer term replacement for Patrick Peterson. And where we are in the draft board right here, with him still being on the board, I'm going to go ahead and steal J.C. Horn from South Carolina to lock that in for the Cardinals to upgrade that secondary and be able to give more time to Kyler Murray in the offense. So I think he's a great cornerback here that would be a steal for the Cardinals at 16.
Mm-hmm. I think they would be ecstatic if that actually happened.
Yep.
They need a lot of secondary help there.
I appreciate your approval of my pick.
Yeah, well, after the Trey Lance one, you need a little redemption. So it's good that you made a pick that
I don't need to read. Listen, when it happens, you're going to feel really bad, Brian. You're going to feel really bad.
Right.
You're going to be like, the prophet has spoken.
Well, we should talk about another prop bet then, based around that. Not on this episode.
Nope.
But we'll bring it back based on our unfulfilled prop bet from the Super Bowl. Okay, so let's keep it moving, throwing over to Ari with the number 17 pick and the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right, so Kevin mentioned earlier how Micah Parsons is, on his board, the best defensive player on this draft. There are some stuff off the field. I think the Raiders will be fine with it if he's on the board over here. A freaking talent that I think John Gruden will be happy to add. Mike Mack will be fine with it. And as well as Gus Bradley, the new defensive coordinator, you bring him on, someone who is an off-ball linebacker as well as a pass rusher. You add him onto defense. They already added Yannick Ngakoue as well. He has elite athletic traits. We saw him run an impressive 40 at his pro day. I think this would be a perfect fit for those Las Vegas Raiders, number 17.
Who was mocked at number 7 to the Lions for the longest time before the Dolphins trade happened. Crazy.
And once again, Ari stole my pick because, with the Dolphins, if Parsons drops, even though linebacker isn't their top need, if Micah Parsons drops to 18, the off the field stuff is, who cares at that point?
They were okay with Antonio Brown for a while. Like, the Raiders don't really, the Raiders are like, nah, we'll deal with it. We want to win. Whatever.
True. Yeah, I think that is a slam dunk pick right there. And like I said, I'm a little jealous he stole my pick. But I do have another one in mind. Let's keep rolling to my second pick for my beloved Miami Dolphins. It just kind of worked out that way, so no complaints here. They do need an upgrade at edge. However, the edge rushers that are available here, there's a lot of projects. They could be superstars, but there's just less certainty. And the defense was not the issue with Miami last year. It was the offense. So I want to shore up the offensive line, and I want to shore it up on the interior. So I'm going to go with Elijah Vera Tucker, who is a guard out of USC. I think he's one of those plug-and-play day one starters, which the Dolphins could use, protect that rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback in Tua to go with this new shiny pass catcher in Devontae Smith. Going with Vera Tucker to the Dolphins at 18. All right, good. No dissension. All right, cool. Let's keep this rolling. Number 19 pick.
I would preferred to see Najee Harris there, but hey, whatever.
But you know how I feel about first-round running backs.
I know. This is your pick. You did it.
Yeah, and Gaskin was before he was injured was actually pretty reasonable. And Alvin Samad, I don't even remember how you pronounce his name. Like he came in like
Ahmed.
Yeah, that is not it'd be great to have an amazing playmaker, but I feel there's some good second and third round running backs that you could get in there. I'd rather have a plug and play interior lineman here. So all right, moving on with the number 19 pick, the Washington Football Team, Kevin.
So this is probably the hardest pick I've had so far because we look at it, the top 3 tackles are off the board. We look at it, the top 3 corners are off the board. There's not really a top flight safety right now. You guys just took Micah Parsons a few picks ago. So this is a difficult situation. I'm gonna
go with a corner. It's hard to draft Fitzpatrick again. Like, you would if you could, but you can't.
So I'm going to go with a corner who I'm starting to see kind of go up some boards. He played on an underrated defense last year who gave Justin Fields some fits, and they're going to go with Greg Newsome II, cornerback from Northwestern.
That's interesting. Okay.
Starting to shake things up.
I like it.
Yeah. Definitely like that. That defense is they're just adding toys onto what could very well again be a top 5 defense.
I have a question. Why is everybody in the NFL a second and not a junior? I don't understand. Like, what is it about the NFL that makes you a second and not a junior? I don't get it.
Generally, second is because you've taken the name of your grandfather, not your father. But we know that's not true with Surtain. He had the same name as his dad. So I don't know. Branding purposes. The second sounds more regal than junior. These guys.
I'm actually the fourth. I should go by like William the Quad or something. Like some
really?
kind of ridiculous. Yeah, dude, I'm the fourth.
I'm gonna call you the Quad going forward. I'm just letting you know. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to pick 20. Will once again paired with a lovely team that he just has so much affinity for, the Chicago Bears. Who are you taking at 20?
Oh man, so God, what don't the Bears need that isn't somebody other than Andy Dalton? They just all over the place have just crying out for help. Just a team that just needs help. I think obviously they're not in a position to get a quarterback this year. I think that management on the Bears, the leadership on the Bears is in win now mode for their jobs. I think they're going to try to build around Andy Dalton, as weird as that sounds. They're going to need weapons to do that for sure. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to snag Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. Where's the
No, because I was looking at Bateman for my next pick with Tennessee. So once again,
how do you feel about that, Ari? Come on. How do you feel about the Red Rocket going into next year?
Listen,
it's the Red Rifle.
They're gonna have to live with Andy Dalton as the quarterback. That was the best option that they had after Russell Wilson fell through. So I totally understand getting Bateman, somebody who has ability to leverage coverage, who is really showed a lot of potential there in Minnesota. And a lot of people have him as the number 4 wide receiver in this draft. I've seen people put him at number 4. So if Chicago, there's a lot of different people who have different opinions on who is the number 4 wide receiver here in this draft. If Ryan Pace has Bateman at number 4, I could totally see that being the pick and helping Andy Dalton, especially when you know that Anthony Miller could potentially get traded and Allen Robinson on that franchise tag, and there's nothing going on over there. So he could be playing this year on the tag and then leaving next year. So there you have Bateman there as the future at wide receiver.
I actually like Bateman more than I like Jalen Waddle personally. I think the whole, we see Tyreek Hill and he's nice and shiny, right? And we look at Jalen Waddle and we're like, oh, he can be just like that. How many Tyreek Hills have we seen? I can answer that. One. There's one Tyreek Hill that we've ever seen. Somebody who's just makes it look like a video game speed. But that's just kind of off the... I like Bateman more than most people, and I'm a little bit lower on Waddle than most people.
Okay. All right, so let's turn it over to Ari for the number 21 pick, Indianapolis Colts.
All right, this is a tough one because Chris Ballard always hits home runs with his picks. So
no pressure.
I'm gonna try to do this one for him, but I'm gonna take a pass rusher after they lost Danico Autry this offseason, and they are most likely going to lose Justin Houston, who has taken some visits as of recently. So I'm going to take Miami, Florida pass rusher Jalen Phillips, who has some medical history that could be an issue, but his talent is definitely worthy of a first round pick here at number 21. And if the Colts medical staff is good with that, then I think Chris Ballard will go ahead and make this pick and help DeForest Buckner up there up front on the defensive line.
I feel like they should draft somebody named DeTrees, and they could have DeForest and DeTrees.
That was no. They're not all winners from you, Will. That was certainly
how amazing would that be? That'd be great.
Kevin's like, he didn't get any of this flavor last time he was on the show. So this is what I deal with every week. So welcome to the PPP. Once again, as becoming a pattern here, Ari stole my pick. So I was all lined up to take Jalen Phillips.
I have your board.
Yeah, apparently you do. Like my I have leaks in my draft team, and they're sending everything out. And Ari, of course, is the one that's breaking all the news. So I was all primed to put Jalen Phillips with Tennessee because they have just needed a pass rush for years. They've never, even when they got Clowney, they've just never been able to establish a consistent pass rush. So what I'm going to do instead is, so they lost Corey Davis, who's now with the Jets, and AJ Brown's been fantastic, but they lost Jonnu Smith, who, was injured, but still, they need another pass-catching weapon to keep that offense strong and keep the pressure off the running game. So I'm going to go actually with the second LSU wide receiver off the board, and that's Terrace Marshall, wide receiver out of LSU for the Titans at 22.
Love it. I like it. And by the way, it's really important that they hit this pick because of what happened last year with Isaiah Wilson. I mean, they cannot get this pick wrong at all. So if he's going to be a hit off the bat, a wide receiver there, I mean, their fans are going to forget about what happened with Isaiah Wilson and be proud of this.
Ari, do you like
Isaiah Wilson, who was a Dolphin for a whole 6 days?
That's right.
Marshall, Ari, do you like Marshall more than Elijah Moore for the Titans?
So I happen to be someone who really likes Elijah Moore. I might be taking him soon. I'll let you guys know. But he's somebody who makes a lot of big plays. And I feel like with Corey Davis leaving and Jonnu Smith leaving, they need some offensive firepower on that offense. And I feel like Elijah Moore is somebody who makes those big plays and would help a team with like Tennessee. But I really don't think you go wrong with what Brian just did there at pick number 22.
Thank you, Ari. All right. Affirmation. So let's keep the party rolling. We are on to Kevin at pick 23 with the New York Jets.
So when I look at this, their second overall pick, Zach Wilson, their O-line could use a little bit of work. But I think, they also need a receiver. But you also, no matter how good your offensive line is, you don't want to drop your rookie quarterback back 40 times a game. So I think the best thing you can do is give him a run game. So I think this is where we see the first running back in the draft come off the board. And I think we see Najee Harris. He's a guy that can carry the ball 20, 25 times a game and not break down because he's a monster of a man. And I think that's why they take him over like an ETN or Javonte Williams, just because he can take that pounding because there really isn't anybody there to spell him. Their running back situation was bad to say that.
They got LaMicah Pirine, who is fantastic. Underused.
Really? Well, he's a Gator. He's gonna pick the Gator. That's just because he went to UF.
Okay. So I'm going Najee Harris here.
Fair enough.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of Najee Harris. Not a big fan of Alabama, but I'm a big fan of Najee Harris for sure. I really want to see him land in Miami. I know he's not going to because Brian hates that, but
I'd love him in Miami if we get him in the top of the second round. I just don't want to spend a first round on a running back.
You're not going to get him on the second round.
No,
for sure.
I know. Well, so we'll get one of the other running backs.
Well, here we go, right? We're running into the Steelers with pick 24. That's me. If he doesn't go to the Jets there, very high chance that he could go to the Steelers at 24. I am not an ETN fan very much. The Steelers, well, I mean, what a team, right? They just re-signed Coach Tomlinson for a couple years. I mean, they need a lot. Right, they need a QB in the worst way. They need they have no run game, so there's that. But I think the biggest thing, and it's not sexy at all, that the Steelers need to do here is just shore up their team. And I think the easiest way to do that is to replace some of that offensive line and go with Tevin Jenkins, offensive line from Oklahoma State.
It's not pretty. I've been seeing a lot of mocks saying the Steelers are going to go offensive line. With the money they signed Zach Banner to, I think they gave him that money to move him over to left tackle. They have Chucks over at right tackle. I could see them taking maybe like Dickerson to get a center since Pouncey just walked away. But they have Dotson at one guard. They have DeCastro at the other guard. So I've seen that a lot of people to say in tackle. I just don't know if the need's there as much as compared to they're kind of missing an edge. They're missing a corner, missing a running back. I think they have more pressing needs personally. But I'm a Steelers fan.
I think if Najee was available, I would have taken him here for sure. I'm not going to take ETN this high. So I definitely agree. I think running back is a big need for them.
I think that's your SEC bias coming through.
I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, Etienne's not a bad pick either. But I mean, you have to just I mean, they need a lot, So anyway.
Well, so Kevin, would you pick Etienne there according to how the board's falling?
So this is a place where even if Najee is available, I'd like for them to trade back because I really like Najee Harris, but I really, really like Javonte Williams as well. And they do have some guys there that can take some of the workload off of him because I think the only concern for Javonte Williams is you don't think he can carry the ball 20 times a game, which is fair, whatever. He didn't do it at UNC. Fine. But if they trade back to, a team wants to jump up and back into the first round, they can get back early second. They get a Javonte, Etienne, or if Najee for some reason falls out of the first, that's what I would do. But obviously, Kevin Colbert's just a touch smarter than me, so I'll trust him.
Yeah, and I'm actually hoping that Williams falls to the Dolphins in the top of the second round. So yeah, I'm with you there. I really like him as a prospect. All right, let's keep it rolling. So I just wanted to hear from Kevin as a Steelers fan on what he'd like to do there. All right, moving on to pick 25. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, my second pick for the Jaguars here in this mock draft. I've been debating if I should go pass rush, but wide receiver really isn't a screaming need here for Jacksonville. I mean, they signed Marvin Jones, they have Chenault, and they have Chark, but Urban Meyer really, really loves speed. And we talked about Elijah Moore before, and he ran a 4.35 at his 40. I feel like if he could, if Jacksonville takes him, pairs him up with Trevor Lawrence, and now you have Moore and Lawrence there for the future. I really like that, and then we'll be talking about this Jaguars first round for many years to come if that works out. So I'm going to take a wide receiver here. I know they really don't have to do it here, but I'm going to take Elijah Moore. They'll be back on the clock to start the second round, and I'm going to take Elijah Moore here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you got to get Lawrence all the weapons you can get to make him successful. So yeah, don't hate that pick there at all. All right, so let's keep the party rolling. On to the number 26 pick with the resurgent Cleveland Browns, playoff winner Cleveland Browns. I would have put edge had they not just signed Clowney. And in fact, because they dropped released Sheldon Richardson, I would actually put defensive line high, but I don't think there's any defensive tackles. It's not a great defensive tackle draft in general, but definitely don't see any prospects this high that I would put here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shore up that linebacker core, and I'm going to draft Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker out of Notre Dame for the Browns at 26.
Great pick.
I love that pick. Yeah, that's exactly what I put in my mock. But I think he's a playmaker. They need a playmaker on that second or third level, and I think with that kind of speed, I think that's a great pick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Brian,
all right, let's keep...
Like 40 times bigger. He's like, damn right, it was a good pick. Moving on.
Well, some of us don't put Trey Lance with...
You're not going to like... I got a spoiler
Panthers.
alert. You're not going to like my next pick either. So...
Oh, boy.
It's going to be bad.
So let's go ahead and throw it over to Kevin, drafting with the Baltimore Ravens at 27.
So this is a one I'm kind of split on. They need a little help off the edge. That defense isn't what we're kind of used to with Baltimore. But I also think this is, even though he's coming off a year removed from winning the MVP, I think this is kind of a put up or shut up year for Lamar Jackson. I think, me personally, I thought he was going to take the leap as far as a passer last year. He did not. So I think this is a year where they maybe try to get him a receiver. I don't think there's any really true prototypical number one receivers left on the board anymore. But there is a gentleman I really, really like, and I think he's underrated. I think there's a lot of underrated receivers in this year's draft. So I was kind of torn between Zaven Collins, who is kind of a do-it-all linebacker, but I think they're going to go with Kadarius Toney. I love him.
You bastard.
He's very much like a Deebo Samuel, where he's fast, he's strong, he's got wiggle. I'm a big Kadarius Toney fan, and I think it's just a weapon that they can add with Andrews and Marquise Brown for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a complete agreement, and some people are putting Toney more in the second round, but based on need for Baltimore, they've got to get a weapon for Lamar. They've needed a weapon for, basically since he started there, and Toney has, the potential to be that kind of, I mean, he bounces off tackles. I mean, he's just the kind of guy that you get him in space, he can break some tackles and turn a small catch into a big one. Questions, I think, with his hands, but that could definitely be developed. I like that pick. There goes.
So, I mean, here's the thing, right? So that was going to be my edgy selection for the Saints. Was going to be Sean Payton taking a shot on Kadarius Toney, just because they need some help to complement Michael Thomas. They're invested in Jameis and Taysom Hill this year. I'm curious to see, I have a pick in mind, but I would like to group source this pick a little bit here to talk about it.
Sure.
If I would have to guess here on a pick for the Saints, and I'll see what Ari thinks about this and what you guys think about this, I would go with Stokes from Georgia, cornerback. I was hoping that there would be a different corner that fell to the Saints here, but with all the ones that I'd gone, and with Toney gone, I think they gotta do something on the outside, and seems like one of the more best available picks here outside of safety and some of the other wide receivers. So I'll go with Eric Stokes from Georgia. I don't know go ahead and see what you guys think about that one.
Yeah, it's interesting because there hasn't been much attention for Eric Stokes during this entire draft process, but I mean, he could play, and he's probably like the fastest corner in this draft, I would say, and he could, cover a lot of ground. And I do feel like there is a chance he could sneak into that first round, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he does. And, New Orleans there could use some secondary help as well. So I could see it happening. Again, there hasn't been much talk about him. I think I saw somebody put out a mock today where he was going in the first round. So he is getting some more attention, but I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, I think the next corner off is going to be Stokes or Asante Samuel Jr. And I think that's a personal preference thing. Asante really doesn't play the ball too well in the air. He's a pretty
Will's also not going to draft a Seminole. He's just not going to do it. So.
That's not true. I'm a big Dalvin Cook fan. Once you hit the league, it's fair game.
True, fair enough. All right, so yeah, can't argue with that pick. The beautiful thing about the Saints is they don't have a ton of super pressing needs. Quarterback could be a big need if neither of the current guys they have work out, but there's obviously no quarterbacks to take here. So shoring up that secondary is probably at the top of the list.
We could have snuck Kyle Trask into the first round. What happened? We could have done it.
Hey, you could no. You've got pick 32.
Oh, that's
Brady's
true.
successor. We'll see.
That's true.
Okay,
Let's keep going.
I should not have given that to you as an idea, but yes, let's keep it rolling. Moving on to pick 29 for the Green Bay Packers. Ari.
All right, I would have loved to take Toney here for Aaron Rodgers, but he's off the board, and I think that would be a perfect fit if it does happen, but it's not.
And the Packers never draft wide receivers in the first for Rodgers, but I would like that.
I have this weird sense that they might do it this year for the first time ever and just break the internet, but we'll see. I'm going to take a bit of a risk. Who cares? We're doing a bit of a mock over here. They lost Corey Linsley in free agency. Landon Dickerson recovering from an ACL. They could use some interior offensive line help. If there's a lot of durability issues here. But if he's healthy, he could be the type of guy you're taking a bet on, and he could be the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. So it's a bit of a risk. If the medicals check out, I could see him getting into the first round. Most likely will be a day 2 pick, but maybe the Packers go in that direction and take Landon Dickerson, the center out of Alabama.
I think the Packers take Kyle Trask here, and I think they go with a 3 quarterback set where they line them up and they just throw the ball back
Jordan
and forth.
Love.
Yeah, I think that's going to make a lot of sense. Look for the Packers. Look, quarterback again in the first round.
Well, hey, I mean, Rodgers got an MVP when they drafted a quarterback last year. Why not do that method again, right? I love it, Kevin.
Works.
The formula works. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I love that idea. Let's spice it up. All right, let's keep it moving. This is another team like Cleveland that for Buffalo, I would have liked to put some defensive line help. But as much as I hate first round running backs, if I have to pick one, it's going to be towards the end of the first round. And I still think the Bills need a much improved game on the run game to complement Josh Allen and what they've been able to do in the past game. So I am going to draft Travis Etienne out of Clemson with the number 30 pick. I think that's a really good value for him there. I do think Etienne is better than Will thinks he is. He's got great breakaway speed. He's more of a straight line runner, but also has good hands out of the backfield. Could be a complete third down back. So I'm going.
How's Clyde Edwards-Helaire doing?
Well, he got injured. He was okay. I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl. He did fine. You view everything through a fantasy lens. So to you, he was at the number. Yeah, first round fantasy pick for Edwards-Helaire. Sure, but he was fine as a rookie.
I would be shocked if 2 first-round running backs go, just knowing the direction the NFL is going in. Brandon Beane did speak to reporters today and said which is interesting, he said he's unlikely to take a running back high. He said he's fine with Singletary and Zach Moss, but of course you really cannot believe anything when stuff is going on right now. But it will be interesting to see, because I think Etienne is a first-round talent running back, but I just feel like the direction the NFL is going in just isn't happening as often anymore.
I kind of like Zayden
So the way
Collins
I mock, yep, that's true. Get a linebacker in there. They did re-sign. I can't think of his name right now. The linebacker that they thought they were going to lose.
Matt Milano.
Yes, Milano. So they re-signed Milano to shore up that linebacker core. Without Milano, yes, I would have put linebackers a much bigger need. And I like to play these mock drafts as though I'm the GM. So Ari's probably 100% right. And Brandon Beane said that. He seems like he's a pretty straight shooter. So I feel like if Beane said that, he's probably not going to draft a running back. But if I'm Brandon Beane at pick 30, based on what the board has played out, I'm drafting Etienne. All right, let's move over to the Super Bowl losers, Kansas City Chiefs, pick number 31, Kevin.
So this pick is an absolute no-brainer as far as position. Take your pick of whatever tackle they think's the best available. You saw what happens in the Super Bowl when you don't have an offensive line or tackles that can play high-level football. So with me, I'm taking a guess here. I'm going with Dylan Radins, and I think he's kind of like a John Runyon type player who Andy Reid coached in Philadelphia. He's a mauler. You know what I mean? I think coming from a small school, it's always a little bit of a worry. He hasn't faced high-level edge rushers, but I definitely think he's a big, nasty guy that can help unlock CEH, can help protect the franchise and Pat Mahomes. But again, it's whatever tackle that you think's the best.
You definitely got
that was Radunz. Radunz was your pick there?
Yeah, Radunz.
Radunz. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
North Dakota
okay.
State. Yep.
How do you like him versus Eichenberg out of Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's tough, and that's what I like. There's 4 or 5 tackles that I don't know. You know what I mean? One of them's going to be an absolute bust. One of them's going to be a steal, and the other 3, can play it out any which way. And it's so tough. I feel like just because of the lack of knowledge, right? As far as the small nuances at offensive tackle, they're always kind of hard to judge of who's going to be severely underdrafted.
And there's a question of, just like the question with Trey Lance, the talent that North Dakota State faces versus Notre Dame, is here going to be a bigger adjustment? The position, we're all in agreement. They have to take a tackle there. They literally have no other choice. But the question is which one they take there. Who knows? Either one of these prospects could be better than the other. But that's where the fun comes in. All right, so let's wrap it up. Conveniently, Will made it so that he gets to pick for his beloved Brady-led Buccaneers at pick number 32. Let's see where he's going to go to wrap up the first ever PPP mock draft.
I mean, what a wild card team, right? The Bucs can do anything here, right? They've shored up most. They brought it back everybody, with the exception
everyone except AB.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing that screams need going forward is wide receiver, right? But that's not now. Let's assume AB is going to come back. They got Godwin on a 1-year deal. They got Mike Evans. They got all the tight ends you could ever want.
Julian Edelman, it's only a matter of time before he signs a 1-year minimum deal.
You got Brady for 1 or 2 more seasons, maybe. Probably 1. I think they do the smart thing here. And this is not a sexy pick, so I feel bad ending our draft on this because this is going to be kind of boring. But Jason Pierre-Paul is old as hell, has half a hand from not knowing how to use fireworks.
It didn't stop him from being a stud in the playoffs.
But we saw what that pass rush did for the Bucs in the Super Bowl, right? It's very important. They have to refill that edge position. Have somebody that can spell a couple of those older dudes, come in, learn under them. I'm gonna go Carlos Basham Jr. Out of Wake Forest. Big, tough, explosive guy. His knock is that he can get out of position in the run game by a single blocker. But he can learn from a lot of those vets there at Tampa. Come in, do his thing, use his athleticism, sit for a year, and really, if the Bucs are going to make another run this year, getting some extra help in that defensive line is going to be crucial, because if one of those guys goes down, the Bucs are going to hurt. So I'm going non-sexy, and I'm going with an edge rusher for Tampa.
The pick itself might be a reach, but I mean, this is a luxury pick.
A little bit.
When you win the Super Bowl and you literally bring back the entire roster that you just won the Super Bowl with, you can afford to make some reaches. There's some other defensive backs. I don't think Rousseau was drafted. The other edge rusher out of Miami.
The safety guy, what's his name? Tevin something. He's the best safety in the draft also.
Let's get our draft experts here. All right, Kevin, he's the best. I don't have any safeties on my board.
It's the kid from Northwestern, isn't it? I can't think of his name. No, it's TCU. Morig?
Oh, yeah.
Trayvon Morig. Yeah.
Trayvon Morig. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that could go there.
I'm trying to think who's Tevin. I'm like, who is Tevin? It's not coming to me.
It was a team name.
Tevin, similar.
I mean, you guys, am I wrong? Like, the Bucs can do whatever they want here, and like they're going to need to figure it out on wide receiver. But there's not a guy that I really like them to get in the first round with everybody else gone. And Basham is probably a reach, but I mean, edge seems like it makes the most sense.
I completely agree with the position. Once again, just like we were talking about with the Chiefs and O-tackle, on the opposite side, the same exact reason that the Bucs won the Super Bowl was because of their pass rush. So why not just stack that up and just reload the position that really, at the end of the day, helped you win a Super Bowl? So edge rusher, when you have a luxury pick, why not?
Did Christian Barmore go in this draft?
He did not.
He did not. That's interesting. I think he ends up going in the first round just because there's such a lack of defensive tackles in this draft. I think he's a first-round talent regardless, but I think he gets pushed up the board just because there aren't that many defensive tackles in this draft.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a position scarcity will tend to move up some of these players who maybe otherwise would be borderline, but a lot of these teams I mentioned, like the Browns and the Bills, who need a defensive tackle, I have them at number 50 on my board. Not that I'm an expert. I was just using an accumulation of other draft boards. But Barrymore I have at 50.
I mean,
but yeah.
We can all agree that teams are going to start overthinking things and get desperate, right? That's what happens every year. So there's going to be some crazy stuff that happens and you just go, what? Like Baker Mayfield going over number 1 overall to the Browns a few years ago. People are just like, okay. Or Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky's a better example.
Trubisky was an actual surprise. I remember Baker, the news came out like 2 days before that they were leaning towards doing that. Trubisky was a complete shock. I remember that very well. Because I remember even on the draft coverage, Schefter went on ESPN and said they're trading up for Solomon Thomas. During the draft. You could go back and watch it. And then 10 minutes later, Trubisky's the pick, and everyone was floored.
As was the Bears' ranking for the next few years.
That's also true.
Hence why they find themselves in the position that they're in now.
Andy Dalton. God, please don't draft Kyle Trask. Please don't kill him. I feel so bad for these college... Like, you play your whole life to get drafted by the Lions. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, at least you're rich.
I'm going to say something now. The Lions are building something, though. I'll tell you that much. Brad Holmes has a vision.
A losing record.
True, 100%. But I feel like they finally have the right people running the show there, especially in the front office. Brad Holmes has a really good reputation. He's a talent evaluator. They have a lot of picks coming up in future years, and it would not surprise me at all if they trade back and get more picks from number 7. So watch out for the Lions. It's going to take some patience. That's for sure. But they're building something special. The Jets as well with Joe Douglas. I mean, it's going to take some time. But what they're building and the way they're trying to build the team is the correct way. So, there's reason to be happy if you're a fan of them. It's going to take some time, as I said. But, we've trashed them for a long time. But they're trying to do it the correct way.
One quick thing, I'd like to go around. I think this might be kind of a fun thing, draft-esque. Go around and maybe say who you think the most overrated player in the draft is.
Overrated?
I don't want to.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones?
100% okay. Mac Jones. There's my answer.
I'm going to say Waddle. I think he's I think you hit it on the nose, Kevin, in saying that people see Tyreek Hill when they see him, and sure, he has that potential, but I just don't see quite as much polish and as much ability that Hill has. Hill's not just a speedster. I think you actually mentioned that on our podcast last time you were on. People don't realize that Hill isn't just a really fast guy. He's a great route runner. He's got fantastic hands. He's got great awareness of spaces in defensive coverage. And Waddle has the speed and the talent, but I just don't.
Hill didn't have that when he came into the league, right? Like, he has developed the hell out of his game from where he was. I mean, he wasn't crap when he like let's be honest, like, he wasn't bad, but it's surprising to me how elite he's developed the rest of his game from being in Kansas City.
Well, I compare them. Maybe it's because they both came from Alabama, but Henry Ruggs, not that he didn't have moments, but everybody was just all about Ruggs when he ran that fast 40 and like, this guy's a superstar. And he had an okay rookie season, but he didn't blow anybody away. Yeah, but Carr's an accurate quarterback. You know, we make our Derek Carr jokes on this, but he's certainly not I would say he's ahead of like what used to be the Dalton scale, right? Kind of the mid-range for quarterbacks.
He is the new Dalton scale.
He is the new Dalton scale. I think we established that on the show.
He is the new Dalton scale.
Ari, who do you think most overrated player in this draft?
Yeah, I don't really like calling anybody overrated. I just feel like if Mac Jones goes at 3, it's going to be interesting to me. I'm really intrigued to see what happens if he doesn't go at 3 and see what the reaction for the rest of the league is with Mac Jones. We had him going at 15 here to New England. That means he slid all the way there. What happens if New England also passes on him? I'm curious to see what happens there. I really don't know what the league believes with, what the league thinks of Mac Jones. That's the thing. So everyone jumped on the hype train that he's going to go at number 3. What happens if he doesn't go there? I'm really curious to see who actually believes he is a franchise type quarterback. So I would say Mac Jones going at 3 feels like it's overdrafting him. But again, he is a quarterback. It's the most important position. And if you believe he's the guy, you take him as early as you can to make sure you secure him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
And do we think there's any chance he gets out of the first altogether? No, right? The Bears, if he gets to 20,
no.
I mean,
yeah. I think we're gonna have 5 quarterbacks going in the first round guaranteed. Could end up happening in the top 10, 15. But he's not gonna slide out of the first round. That's for sure. But I am curious to see where he goes if it's not San Francisco, because really no one talks about that scenario. What happens if Mac doesn't go at 3? Where is he going? Is it New England? Are they sold on him? I don't think we have a clear answer on that.
I think it's Denver, New England, or the Bears, right? Like, you go to one of those. Three.
The Bears are interesting because when they signed Glennon, they made it sound like he is their quarterback and they traded up for Trubisky. Now they signed Dalton and they're saying he's the guy. Is he really their guy? They're picking at 20 this time. It's a little bit different. But what happens if one of these quarterbacks do slide? Are they going to try to make a trade up? It's an interesting scenario to think about.
I could see Belichick being willing to trade back at 15 if Mac Jones is still on the board and the Bears make a compelling offer.
You see all those videos, I mean, and it might be just media spin, but like of Mac Jones making his overthrows and like Kyle Shanahan being like,
and Belichick
just like, nope. I don't know, man. I hope I'm wrong on Mac Jones. You know who's really high on Mac Jones? Like really high on him? Tim Tebow.
And then he definitely shouldn't get drafted.
Which is really like Tim Tebow voted for Mac Jones to win the Heisman over Kyle Trask. Put it that way.
Wow, no loyalty amongst Gators.
No, I mean, hey, whatever. So
with that obscure Tim Tebow fact, let's go ahead and wrap it up. R.A. Myrov, thank you so much for coming on. Your Twitter is @MySportsUpdate, correct?
That's right. All one word.
Yeah, all one word. If you like the NFL at all, which I hope you do because you're listening to this podcast, then you absolutely have to not only follow but turn on notifications. I have them. It's just he's on top of everything. There's not a sports news in the NFL that breaks that he is not breaking pretty much at the same time. So Ari, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hope to have you on again in the future.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This was really fun. It's always a fun exercise to do mock drafts. I put out a poll yesterday to see what people think about mock drafts. I was surprised to see, I'm looking at it right now, over 37,000 votes. 55% of people say they enjoy them. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this mock draft as well.
Yeah, I actually, because I do have notifications on for your account, I voted in that right away. And I was a little worried, like, Ari's going to come on and do a mock draft on our podcast tomorrow. If this poll goes sideways.
How fun are mock drafts, dude? Like, you just sit back and you're either like, if you like college football, it's interesting in that way because you're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that's going to be a great fit, right? Like, if you're a fan of the NFL, like, the draft is amazing You know, you're a fan of your team. You're a fan of your college. Like, I really care where Kyle Trask goes, even though he's not going to play there, you know, and I want to see what develops of his career. So, I mean, I don't know how, if you're an NFL fan, I don't know how you can't love the draft. I enjoy Giants fans getting really pissed off when they draft Daniel Jones. That's really fun to me. And so I just all those kind of things, you know what I mean? Like, I revel in other fans making bad choices.
Well, NFL Draft Twitter has spoken on Ari's account, and they do, more than half of them out of 37,000, enjoy the mock draft. So we're glad that we did this. Kevin Brumley, a.k.a. the Sports Muse, thanks again for coming on. Kevin, you are actually going to stick around for the flavor of the week. So we will bring you back on for that. If you're listening, please, as we mentioned, stick around for the flavor of the week. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, do all that fun stuff. We're still batting 1,000 for 5-star reviews on iTunes. I've checked the England iTunes and the Canadian. We're 1,000 across the board. Woo! Still in all that Will has not caused us to get a 1-star somewhere. Check us out on Twitter at official PP Pod. You'll see this on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can check out our Discord community. Link will be in the description for this show. Thanks for checking out our first official mock draft, and we'll see you next time on the PPP.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.